Ugh. No, that's so annoying. Oh my god. Wait, is this winning? Still? I have h1? Oh no, they have queen b1. I need to go g6. Oh. There we go. Okay. They had queen b1 check. It's funny, I got him with 0.7 seconds. They had queen b1 check in this position. That was their only move. But g6? And then I think I actually had them. Isn't that remarkable? I think they had nothing. I think they had nothing. Wow. I mean, this was pretty funny as I'm just racing to the end here. Even here, I think I have no return. I gotta just like kind of check, but they can keep blocking the b1 square for me to guard. And so I just go for this. This is check, king h7, but wow. I mean, wow. That's remarkable. They could have gone check. I think I'm right. Yeah, it's winning. Check, g6, they got nothing. They've got absolutely nothing in h1 next turn. So that is funny how everything's guarded here. They have no queen takes h2. They have no queen b7 to guard it. Just a funny position there. Yeah, the Schliemann. I mean, Schliemann's a good gambit. Certainly, it's very like it passes most of the tests that I'd use for a gambit, which is not well known. It's going to be very important. I don't want my opponent to just know to tend to know the stockfish moves. It's hard to decline, to just like easily be able to play natural moves and then kind of just fizzle out the position. It has good win condition scenarios, kind of. I play d5 here. I think maybe. And then the other two would just be like risk and reward, right? Is basically what I'm saying. Lower risk of a big stockfish number and higher reward of knocking them out right away. I like better than the Schliemann, the deferred Schliemann, how Pragnanda played against Vidi. So actually here, hold that train of thought for a second. This is a good situation where I've castled and my opponent's king is still in the center, but everything's kind of locked. And so it's like, okay, what do you do now? I could just go like la-di-da-di-da-di-da, and then, but let my opponent castle. But what I'm going to try to do is try to make things as hard as possible for them. So I'm going to try to open the center as quickly as I can before they're going to get out of the middle. So this is like really my only way to open the middle is with f4. So, okay, well, they're kind of really asking for these things. I mean, f5 is threatening queen h5 check right away. I think that really makes the quickest threat. I mean, with this diagonal in general, like sometimes check g6 just drives you away and it's kind of a waste of time. But if the key is controlling the square. So here, I think we got him. Now we force the king move. That is a success in my book. The next thing I will try to do is probably bring a knight right there. Check and take. An amazing record with the Halloween Gambit. That's fun. I mean, everything's playable in Blitz, right? And of course, in lower time controls, there's going to be more mistakes. When you try to move this over to classical, of course, you need to be much more careful in terms of these lines because the quality of your opponent's moves will go up a lot. I'm taking here so that my opponent doesn't shut this diagonal down because I think I can just get him right there on g8. I think knight takes d5. I don't see any reason why not, because I don't see any way to guard g8. And yeah, this goes to show why you can't just bundle up. You can't just bundle up because you just give me all the time in the world to attack. And guess what? I will attack. Knight e3 is playable, but it's not even necessary. I'll just go here. Bishop e3 is playable. Let's go knight b6, knight e3. Everything's good. Yeah, queen's gonna move. This is defended, and queen takes g8 coming. So yeah, nice knockout there, and yeah, so we just tried to punish my opponent for not castling. Right? This is what we try to do. We try to strike quick, get your king out of the center, and then if your opponent's king is still in the center, or honestly wherever your opponent's king is, try to blow it up. Try to make pawn trades around there to open everything there. Most important thing is your king's safety. Second most important thing is your opponent's king's unsafety. Alright, well that concludes this arena, I guess. I guess we finished 5th. We lost 1 game. Had a 23-44 performance. That doesn't include the berserks. We berserked 5 of the 7 games. Or 4 of the 7 games. Played 1 FM. We can join another arena. I'm also happy to take challenges from my subscribers on YouTube. So if you are subscribed to me on YouTube and you would like to challenge W. Grafe here on Chess, please do that. What's up, Yan Yan? How are you doing? Muzio Gambit. Can you tell me the moves of that again? Sorry, I recall having a good opinion of that. Eastern Super Blitz Arena. Why not? Let's join that until someone sends me a challenge. For some reason... So the Muzio Gambit, let me have a look. Oh, okay. I got a challenge. Scarecrow Kid. Alright. We'll play again. This one will be 3-0. Good luck, my friend. Make sure to mute the stream. And let's go. Speaking of gambits, let's see what we can play here. Scarecrow is a very strong opponent. What I would love to do is play even a dummy gambit against d6. But we have an Alekhine here. Okay, knight c6. I think against knight c6 I have to play something a little bit more legitimate with d4. So we still want to play aggressive chess, but we have to play real chess. That's okay. It happens. Let's play c4 and maybe start thinking about d5. Can we do it? Can we just run him over? My concern is that after takes, knight b4, we have to defend this, right? So knight c3, and then there's going to be like d6. So I'm just going to play knight c3 myself, as I consider these options. I think knight c3 is a move I was going to have to play no matter what. And we also don't have too much time on the clock. So... okay. I'll take it. Bishop takes is not possible, yeah, because there was c5. Alright, let's play bishop d3. And if d5, I'll play c5 here. So my opponent choosing some other options here. Play b3. So that knight b4, I can move this away maybe. I think I might have to slide this guy back. Slide this back. I think I have an 84. Targeting this bishop that was otherwise causing me some problems. Play c5 first. Oh! We both forgot this was hanging. Okay. I don't know what just happened there. Okay. Wow. Okay. Stay focused. Just play the position in front of you. Analysis is for the end of the game. Let's bring our bishop here. Yeah, I meant to take... anyway. Okay. Here, what I want to do is expand with a3, b4, right? So... okay, let's try it. a3 and b4. They might play a5, but I was maybe going to play like rook b1 or something like this. Otherwise, I'm happy that I got rid of their dark square bishop. I think that was their best piece. Because the dark square bishop, along with the light square pawns, is the piece you want on the board, certainly. Yeah, let's play b4. Something I'd love to do is if I got the opportunity to play b5, knight moves c6. Yeah, let's do that actually, b5 and c6. So before they're able to make this trade here, that would undermine me. Oh, so they are going to give that bishop, but now I feel... yeah, I had this pin, and so things are working here. Let's just not flag. I think I'm up a lot of material at this point. Yeah, I'm up a rook. I'm up a rook. What do I play against the King's Gambit? I play the Pickler Gambit. And you don't have to go full Pickler. There's another good option to play knight takes c6 as well, but this is also covered on my channel. It is with... let's trade here, and queen b2 is a nice move to prepare rook c1. And otherwise the queen is going to cover the main invasion squares. Note, after queen b3, I was eyeing knight d2, which can be a nasty fork, but I had this knight here, so that knight takes e5, I was prepared to go pawn takes e5. If I recaptured, then knight d2, as I mentioned, is a nasty fork. Let's play rook c1, and my next move is going to be h3, because I don't want any unspeakable things to happen to me on the back rank. And king h2, let's stay safe. Because, yeah, we're a rook up here, but with queens on the board, you gotta watch your king safety. So this is as safe as you can get, really. In fact, I'm gonna go here first. I'm gonna allow this check. Because, obviously, they don't want a queen trade. But, what was I gonna say? This pin is really nasty. This pin is a very, very nasty one. They should go... yeah, so here I'm very happy to trade queens. And now we're going to go with this pawn, which should be cleared for takeoff. King g8, yeah. King g8 was maybe a better chance to catch it, but yeah, the knight will not do well to catch this pawn if it doesn't have this square. And this is checkmate. Good game, sir. Good game, sir. We can have a look at this one. This was an interesting Alekhine Gambit. I had no... sorry, Alekhine opening. I had nothing in particular prepared there. So what we got here, I had a big center out of the opening, but nothing much to do with it because d6 was a good way to chop away. So it just takes bishop d3. h6 was maybe not the most necessary precautionary move, maybe just bishop e7. And castles could have been played without that. And, you know, you always want to develop in castle as quickly as possible. So, bishop f6, I played bishop to e2 here. So this remains about a +1 position with my nice center, knight e4. And yes, c5 was crazy. I mean, this was crazy. I played c5 and immediately played knight d7. But, yeah, it takes here, and I would just be down a piece because this was hanging. So, pretty funny situation there. Better for me to just take this and then play c5, which would have been very similar to the game. But I would have been I'm very happy to make this trade here with knight e4, because this bishop was a very good one, putting pressure on d4, which is a pawn that I can't defend with another pawn. So meaning that I have to use other pieces to defend that. Like, if I have a pawn that can defend a pawn, that's the best case scenario, because no matter how many times you attack it, I don't have to defend it even once with another piece. Do you still play my line against the Trompovsky? Yeah, I play the Deceiver Gambit. I play the Deceiver Gambit, which is another gambit that I have prepared. Bishop g5, I play knight e4, and e5, which is a fun one. But yes, so here I'm in a good situation with the bishop pair and getting rid of the best piece for black. If you have light square center pawns, your dark square bishop is your best piece. So yeah, I was able to then build up a strong pawn chain over here. Probably better to play pawn takes c5. To play pawn takes c5 to not allow what I got in the game, which was b5 and c6, which is a really nice punch. b5 making the knight move before a capture could happen here, and now c6, very strong. Pawn on c6 that he sacrificed for, but then after bishop to b5, I think you're losing even more material owing to this pin. What's up, Ravi? How you doing? So then after knight d7 here, I was just kind of up a rook. And we played things pretty safe here, keeping my king on h2, and we managed to get the queens off and promote. So, had a good position there out of the opening, barring that one blunder. And yes, thank you for the game. All right, Infinite Tsukuyomi I will accept this challenge. 3 plus 2. Make sure to mute stream. Good luck. Yes, the only thing I asked if you guys send me challenges is that you subscribe on YouTube. Where I'm publishing lots of videos. C5. I challenge you to survive my Yan Yan Gambit. I will accept that challenge as soon as I play my own Yan Yan Gambit. E6. I could play a French, but maybe I'll play D5. And I'll play D3. And we'll get a Yan Yan. Wow, the YouTube servers are just so much better than the Twitch servers. I just don't, like, where... I'm going to increase my stream quality even more. As soon as I play. So, yes, D3. So this, hopefully we'll get to play a Yan Yan here. After pawn takes e4, we can transpose with this move bishop to f4. Okay. Can I play bishop to f4, or am I just asking for this move? e5. Might just be better off playing knight to f3. Because bishop to f4, e5, I back it up, and then I feel like I just give an excellent center. Otherwise, knight to f3, I'm asking for... Okay, I'm willing to play that. e5, bishop g3, and maybe I'll strike at the center. Okay, a6 takes away this. Interesting. Okay, now I'll play knight to f3. Now I have rook takes d1, which is a much better recapture on d1. In fact, rook takes d1 is an excellent recapture. But with a6 and the pawns here and here, well supported, it'll keep the dangerous Yan Yan knight out of action. So here comes h6 and maybe a g5, which was not on my bingo card in this position. I think what I might want to do... So I have several options here. I have takes in d4. I think queen e2 might be the most annoying of my options. No, you know what? I'm going to go with takes in d4. I think that seems the most straightforward to me of straightening out my position, and it makes h6 look the stupidest. I think anything, queen c2, queen e2, those were also very reasonable moves. Takes d4, so maybe there's this capture, which would mess things up. Let's go knight takes. h4. h4 is interesting, but I just didn't take g5 nearly seriously enough. I just didn't take it that seriously. They can take a3, which would be probably pretty annoying. It would be probably pretty annoying. It would mess up my nice pretty pawns. Yeah, so I really wanted this and to have my kind of nice pretty pawns, but I have the opposite of that instead. Can I make something of it? Check, there's queen e7. Maybe there, bishop d... no. Okay, I think we're just going to have to use our bishop pair here. So let's play bishop d3 and castle. So, interesting position here. I have ugly pawns. But they gave up their dark square bishop. Let's go queen. I kind of want to go here because I have a very obvious sneaky idea of taking on h6. And I didn't want to go queen d2 because knight e4 is very strong. Here, maybe f3 first. I don't know. Like, is it so out of the question? Knight c5 they should play because it has a tempo here, regardless. But now this is very serious. So, okay, interesting stuff. But yeah, I mean, okay, they do have queen f6. It wasn't that scary. I should play something like rook b1 or maybe queen d2. Yeah, queen d2. I should defend this. It's a 3+2 game, so I'm not going to flag like just like that. But this knight can come in here, which is very annoying. Let's bring this rook to e1 so that my queen can tuck back in there. Bishop d7 they can play, though. If I play here knight b3 and knight c4, queen d4, I think this will come out okay for me. So knight b3. Of course, pawn takes b3 would solve a lot of my problems in terms of that ugly pawn structure. But it's hard to really dodge this so much. Knight c4, can I go takes? This is hanging, but they've also got some stuff hanging, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Takes, knight c5, playable. Knight c4 takes, c3 is hanging. It would be a crazy line. The other option is queen d4, which is a little more tame. Takes, c takes, knight b3, bishop b3. Knight c4. I might go for this. I think it could end up in my favor. So, an interesting line here as I try to force a capture on b3 by targeting both of these guys. And if I can force the capture on b3, then a takes b3, and I'm in business. An interesting situation here. Okay, we forced the capture on b3, which is such a win, and now our position is better. So I'm pretty happy. Do I want to trade, or do I want to go f4, f5? I think option 2. Also, kicking the knight and queen d3 is on the table. Okay, f5. Can I get him with takes and f6? Ooh. Oh, yeah. We forced them backwards. We forced them backwards. And at minimum, I also have queen d4 check winning here. I wasn't even thinking about that. But, wait, this is hanging. And check. Yeah, bishop c8 cut the rook's defense there. And I think we got him. So that was a very interesting Yan declined kind of game. Good game, Mr. Infinite Tsukoyami. Let's have a look. Let us have a look at this game. Let's go request computer analysis. Oh, good night, Seski. See you next time. Guys, make sure to join the Discord where if you go here to the link tree, first of all, that's where you can see all the gambits and learn how to play whichever one you like. But the Discord there, where you guys, a very vibrant community of everyone discussing opening ideas, sharing their games and everything. And I choose the best games to feature on my weekly Gambit Geniuses in my videos. And I draw on ideas from them for my own videos. So it's really awesome stuff. You also get notified when I go live and post new videos. Okay, Yan Gambit, which is a fun one. And video is coming very soon. Takes e4, bishop f4, right? So with bishop to f4 here, what our plan is that if we get a full acceptance, we want to play go queen e2, we want to castle, we want to get him with the rook that's going to be there, we want to play knight b5 and get him here, and just really, really fun stuff against the Alekhine. So c3, mainly we get this with d5, knight a3, takes d3, but this is kind of what I tried to transpose to a little bit in the game. We didn't quite get that, and my opponent does a good job with these pawns of boxing out this Yan knight of jumping into the game. So, really just an equal position here. And my opponent goes for the interesting option against bishop takes a3. What do I play? I mean, I play the dummy gambit, but I can hardly fully recommend it because there is a refutation, and I named it the dummy gambit to remind you. Otherwise, I think in a very legitimate way, I think knight f3 and bishop e2 is most advisable. There is like a little bit of theory you have to know, but in terms of the dummy gambit, it's really fun, and there's no way your opponent knows it, and it's a fun way to sacrifice. So you can check that out and decide for yourself. Yes, so we had here d4, and I think my opponent's decision to go bishop takes a3 is a very good one. I think if they don't do that, this knight is going to jump back, fortify this square, and now I have this nice blockader of an isolated pawn. So an isolated pawn allows for me to get an outpost right in front of it. An isolated pawn, by definition, means there's no other pawns that can dislodge my knight. So that'll be an outpost. My knight can stay there forever, and then I can play around that and maybe attack this pawn in the long run, because there's no pawns that can defend it. So bishop takes a3 was played, but yes, if you want to play something legitimately, I touched on it in that video anyway, so you're good. But yes, takes a3. So bishop takes a3 was an interesting throw-in. So the pro is that it completely ruins my pawn structure. These are both weak pawns and can be attacked. The con is that you now have lots of light square pawns and no dark square bishop, so those squares could be very vulnerable in your position. So it's a very dynamic sort of equality here, where I have a very good bishop pair, but unless I get them kind of quickly, then like long term the structure is going to be bad, right? So, but the thing is, that's kind of the thing about weak pawns, right? Weak pawns are more important in endgames and more important when things are getting traded, because the truth about weak pawns is they aren't that important. They're not nearly as important as king safety. They're not nearly as important as, I mean, assuming material is equal, right? They're not nearly as important as king safety or active pieces, right? Like, who cares that I have doubled pawns if I'm checkmating you, right? But, you know, when queens get traded, then it's very hard to attack, right? It's almost impossible to just attack a king in general without a queen on the board. And there's less dynamic activity in the position, then it kind of dawns on you that, oh wow, it's hard to defend, and they can kind of organize like a more organized attack on just like spending a lot of time just attacking a pawn. Whereas in this position, when there's a lot of dynamic activity here, where I could play maybe bishop e5, I could bring my rook around, I could maybe play here and give like a checkmating threat, you don't necessarily have the time to just attack one pawn. Is kind of what I'm saying, right? So pawn structure matters, of course, but like, you know, pawns that are way away from the king, they're going to matter less than dynamic activity in the position. So if you're black, and in this scenario, you definitely want to trade queens to reduce the amount of dynamism in the position so that my bad pawns are going to matter more, if that makes sense. Yes, so I don't know why I could just click there. So, but what happened here is, so I tried to make things happen. I've tried to go queen c1 and make bishop takes h6 happen, right? Knight e4, this is why I go queen c1 and not queen d2, because that would come with tempo, but I'm able to drive that knight away. Knight c5 comes with tempo on my bishop. If this weren't under attack, then yes, this would be a great sacrifice, and I'd try to get him. Right? I'm happy to give a bishop for 2 pawns right in front of their king, and maybe try and checkmate them there. Like f5 they have to play or something like this to not get checkmated right away. Again, assuming this isn't hanging, right? It is hanging, so, you know, it doesn't work at all. They can just take this. But would have been fun stuff. I just played bishop c2, and now queen to f6 defends that very nicely, so very well played by my opponent. Queen d2 I have to play to defend this stuff. Knight to a5, jumping in, knight c4, all very well played by my opponent. Rook e1, bishop d7, all very logical stuff, because rook, you know, they can't play knight c4 yet, that's hanging, so they finish their development. Now with knight b3, they play knight to a takes b3, which is apparently the best move, so this is minus 0.9. The best move was knight c takes b3. What's the point? Bishop to b5, attacking here. It's kind of annoying, and I think I'm kind of overwhelmed a little bit, because it's a situation where, like, if I take, I can't challenge the file with rook e1 because I would trade and lose this bishop because my queen would be distracted, and otherwise if the rook moves elsewhere, there's like rook e2. So it's a situation where suddenly I have too many things to defend. Like, this is defending this, it's defending this, it's defending this from like some more aggressive pieces. I think would kind of be the issue. But they don't quite find this nice move, bishop b5, and instead put the bishop on a little more passive square, bishop e6, defending here. and I just needed one passive move. That was kind of all I needed. And now here come my excellent bishops. So here comes bishop e5, hitting the queen, queen g5, f4. I'm not interested in trading queens, driving that queen back, f5. Here we come, right? I mean, really, they played one bad move the whole game with bishop e6. Bishop comes all the way back, and now all of a sudden here's a sacrifice. That is the power of the bishop pair with queen still on the board. I mean, it was well supported by my rooks. I had the bishops here, and I had everything pointing at their king, and now all of a sudden, like, there's just check here, and queen takes h6, checkmate coming. Almost out of really, like, bishop b5, they needed to keep up the threats. Keep me on the back foot, not allow me to get in what I wanted here, which was bishop e5, f4, f5. Like, that all came with tempo, takes, and this is already a +6 position, but they hung that in the game. So yeah, very well played by my opponent. Really interesting game. I think their one mistake here is just bishop to e6. Why didn't YouTube send me a notification? Good question. I think what you can do is go to my channel and hit the bell. So actually, let me just test this by going to, like, one of my favorite YouTubers. Here's Eric Rosen's. I think what you do, so you're subscribed, but then, yes, so you're on, like, I'm on all, or I'm on personalized. You can go to all. So hit that little bell for notifications. So what you want to do, you go to youtube.com/@gambitman. Well, that's me. I'm subscribed to myself. All. So hit the bell, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. I'm that guy that tells you to do that. Yeah, exactly. Tell Magnus and Hikaru to face my gambits. All right, Yan Yan. I'm happy to accept this challenge. Send me the challenge. Let's go. Greetings from your fans in Iraq. Greetings to Iraq. Thank you for joining. What time is it there? Oh my god, it's so late. I have work tomorrow. You guys must be a solid 8 hours ahead. Okay, so it's like 9:22. So no, this is actually my first, great question. This is my first ever stream on YouTube. This is my first ever YouTube stream. I had always streamed on Twitch, and I don't know why. I don't know why. This is much better. First of all, I have more viewers. Welcome. I'm always happy to have more people watching. And the Twitch servers suck. I'm sorry, but like, I was having so many problems with, like, lag, dropped frames, all this stuff. Like, and they dropped. So you guys, when you guys subscribe to me on Twitch, right? You pay $5 a month, but Twitch is taking half of that, literally half of that, before taxes, right? So, you know, it's kind of crazy. I would honestly rather you just subscribe to me here for free, on YouTube, and you guys can actually be, I can enable, like, supers and such, but I think I might just be a YouTube streamer because everything is working here. I'm having no technical issues whatsoever, and I'm so done with having technical issues. So yeah, I don't know. If I'm more active, I'll gain 100,000 subs within the next year. That would be pretty crazy. That would be awesome. I only have about 5,300 at the moment, but spread the word. Become one yourself. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You already sent the stream. You sent the challenge. All right, Mr. Yan Yan. Good luck. I don't know. So, for context for everyone else, Yan Yan is a friend of mine who is the creator of the Gambit that he's about to play, which is with knight to a3 here. And I think I'm pretty obligated to accept and play here. So this Gambit that I have actually recorded a video offering a full repertoire here on everything to do, on every move other than d takes e4 black could play, on moves on e takes d3 and everything after that, on knight f6 and everything after that, covering all the options for black. I've recorded a full repertoire video. that will be published in the coming couple days. And I did mention he pre-moved. He knew that I knew the best line. Okay. So what now? Let's go knight c6. Bishop g3. All right, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, and he's going to be very well prepared. The Yan Yan Gambit is named after him. He is Yan Yan. He is the Yan Yan. So, what to do, what to do, what to do. Let's play e5. Let's try and cut this bishop. Wow. I feel like I'm walking into a lot of prep. The thing is, I like to be the one prepared. I don't like this. What might be surprising for him to face? Maybe this move seems annoying. Trying to take this bishop that he's trying to open with knight b5. Just trying to play something he wouldn't know. Although I think maybe they're okay after d5. But yeah, I know 2 Iraqis with the Robbie surname. Yes, in terms of the VOD for YouTube Live, that's a very good question. Because I don't even know. I assume that will be available. I will make sure that I will do everything in my power to make it available to everyone. So I got rid of this bishop. d6, I have knight f5. So knight b5 there to get to c7 won't quite work. I'll be able to eliminate that. But I think after e4... so I don't think this was quite working. I think e4, he was okay. And I was maybe just going to play a6 to keep away the nastiness. I mean, I would have loved to escape this way. But yeah, d6, it looked like maybe any knight move and knight b5, knight c7 would come. But I think here... Now I need to take this. I mean, these are also hanging, but I don't want knight c7. So I think we're okay after this, though. I think I am a pawn ahead now. I think we've survived I think we've weathered the worst of this storm. It's like playing the bush gas against me, you know? He knows this just so well, inside and out. It's like facing the bush gas Gambit against me. But I mean, this is fun. Yeah, so the thing is, I touch on this in the video that I recorded, which is that, well, I'll talk about E3 a little bit more, but it has literally 0 games in the database, literally 0, out of a couple hundred in that position. I think here E4 could be strong and take G3. E4, bishop B5. I can go bishop D7. Yeah, let's play 4. Well, oh, there's queen A4 check. Spicy. So let's just go here and castle next turn. I guess bishop to b5, bishop to d7 could have been a transposition to just that position. I don't want to castle. Well, now e4, queen a4. Whatever, I'll just castle. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to deal with this h7 pawn. Alright, so he managed to castle that way anyway. Here I can take d1. It is, okay, yeah, it is 3+2, thank God. I would have just flagged otherwise. So yeah, now we're in a spot where before these rooks are coordinated, any bishop move, I can trade everything on d1. Queen takes, 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 takes. And that way I'll be fine. Yeah, I'm happy to do that, honestly, because I feel as though I'm just ahead of pawn, and that I would kind of try to win that endgame. So I'm going to play, well, e4, there's an 82, right? I really invite an excellent knight if I play like that. So Why don't we go here? Okay, maybe now e4. This knight feels far from d4. I don't want to flag. I gotta be a little bit faster. This knight is a dancing one. Can you take it? I was gonna go here maybe and try and take. Bishop f7, take here. It seems unnecessary, but fun. Like, I think otherwise I have it a little bit locked down. But I think this is a cool line to go for. Bishop 7, a4. Knight f4 is going to cover g2, though. But still, takes g3 is going to be very good, because I'm going to attack e3, so I think this is worth it. I'm still up a pawn, right? Oh, there's knight d6 check. Oh! Oh, wait, but then take, I can check and win this back. I should have traded that knight while I had the chance. I don't know what's happening here anymore. I think I played this really poorly. Aha! Oh, I didn't even see this. I am now down a lot of pawns. Down a whole bunch of pawns here. Can play bishop b2 and win one of them. I think I can hold a draw miraculously. But I might have been losing there. I might have been losing, but in opposite color bishops it provided a lot of drawing chances. Wow, good game. Good game. Today the Yan Yan, tomorrow the gas. Good game, Mr. Yan Yan. I think you had me. That was a pretty up and down. Well, I mean, okay, we've got to analyze this. But that was a pretty up and down game, and you fought really, really well for just being down a clean pawn in the endgame. So, okay, what happened here? Let's review. Knight to a3. I take it, d3. Knight to f6 to defend, and bishop to f4. So again, asking me to take and give the main Yan Yan lines with queen d2. Long castles, rook coming here, knight coming to b5, and jumping into the game. Now, the nasty, nasty line that I touch on in the original video is out of, let's see here. Out of all the games in this position, there are absolutely 0 with e3, which is the top engine move. So we're already in uncharted territory, but Yan Yan knew that I knew that, and pre-moved f takes e3. So, knight c6, bishop to g3, backing up, and it's important. So the point of e3, let me talk a little bit about e3. The point is that if we just do something else, right, and then there's d takes e4, this trade is always going to be good for white, because white's always going to be in a situation where they can play rook takes d1 as a recapture. They don't have to go king takes d1. They got the queen away, and they took a pawn, and now this is kind of a thing where they can just go knight b5 and knight c7, and there's like no way to guard that. Not only will you lose your rook, you can lose your king. That's going to be checkmate. So those trades are always dangerous. You know, e6, I mean, d takes e4 is still a good move in all these lines. The queen trade's good. Knight b5 is always dangerous. And, you know, that's all covered in the original video. What black can do to just get rid of all that is e3. and to just take away that resource for white. And now knight b5 is not scary at all, but the more scary is knight d5, because not only does that guard c7, but it also can hit the bishop and force the trade, because here, if there was just knight f3, I can play knight d5, and if the bishop moves, I can take this pawn now. So that's why Mr. Yang Yan backs up bishop g3, but this position's about minus 0.3. So here I play e5, just trying to take as much space as possible. d4, which he played really quickly, which I didn't think was a good move, but I didn't know what was going on, and he played it really quickly. It's minus 2.3. So c takes d4. I'm just looking at this now. This is funny. Oh, wow. Somehow we've transposed, so there is one game in this position. I don't even know how that happened. I guess the point was takes. Oh, because I can get rid of this knight. I didn't even see that. I can get rid of this knight. I can just get rid of this dangerous knight. So we're in a spot where, yeah, if takes, then knight b5, this seems kind of dangerous. Because it's like, okay, how do you stop this? Then, you know, all the dangers are back. All the dangers are back of keeping this knight out of c7. I mean, I guess there's some crazy lines here, but I'm like, I didn't want to deal with that. But I didn't even see that, yeah, you can just get rid of this knight, and then now you're in a spot where, okay, I'm much closer to castling than you are. I'm going to be up a pawn. I can play queen a5. So obviously this is quite good for, quite good. It was bishop b5, not knight b5. Well, so what do you mean? Well, you probably don't want to play d4 here, because takes, this is already minus 2. This is already minus 2. So d4 probably shouldn't be the move. The engine's recommendation is knight to f3, after which it's about minus 0.1, attacking this pawn. And the engine actually recommends black to leave this pawn, offering this and just offering that pawn. And now we have ideas like knight g4, attacking this stuff, rook to e8. So maybe you shouldn't take that pawn if you're white in this situation. Interesting stuff. So d4 was played here. Anyway, I didn't play it right either. I'm just like, let me confuse you. I'm going to play knight to e4, which swings it from minus 2.3. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you guys can maybe even see that eval bar. It swings it from minus 2.3 to plus 0.7 after here d5. So I get rid of the bishop, but little did I know I just could have taken and gotten rid of the knight. So here after d5, I play knight to e7, and yeah, d6. So the best move was check, bishop d7, and then maybe like e4? Or it's saying like knight to f3, and just keep developing. And yeah, this is a little uncomfortable. I'm kind of far from castling. So I don't know why I went through all this trouble to take here and allowed for that strong pawn. But anyway, d6 was still a good move. Knight to b5 did just allow me to take this pawn. Knight to b5 looks like, okay, you can defend this and play knight c7, but that's why it's important I go here in particular. There's no knight c7, I take this pawn, and then all should be good in my position. Bishop to b5 check would have kept the advantage for white, because now after bishop to d7, I can't win this pawn. After queen d5, attacking here. It's saying now knight takes and takes, and white is better. Bishop takes, I guess they can attack this knight, and then I would lose this bishop after the knight is forced to move. So, wow, tough line there. Queen d5, sneaking into that newly created square with d6, and then the queen can wreak havoc in the black position. Interesting stuff. So knight b5 was played. I go knight takes d6, takes. Again, it wanted queen d5 to try and cause lots of problems. And it does seem good, right? It attacks here, attacks here. The bishop is defending here. Defends the castle and put a lot of pressure on the d line. Try adding Lee Chess Tools browser extension. Oh, okay, yeah, I will check that out. That is pretty cool. In the game, knight takes d6, and so here I should just be up a pretty clean pawn. As we castle, I play c4, and I managed to trade all this. I mean, I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't win this. It's minus 1.9, but Mr. Yang Yan fought very, very well. So this is minus 1.9. It's a clean pawn, and I have a development advantage, and I have a bishop pair, but something got away from me here. I was very low on the clock, to be a little bit fair to myself. So I played here e4, which was actually pretty well timed, as the knight is now having a hard time reaching this nice d4 square, and so I'm fixing this nice weakness for me. But the knight now instead develops here, and its file is open, and it might be hopping around. So I get out of the way a little bit. Here comes knight g5, bishop g6, and the knight continues to hop around in my position. Apparently this was the big mistake. Oh yeah, this makes a lot more sense to just target g3, right? But I play bishop b6, and now we're equal. So now we are equal. So knight to e6, bishop to f7, knight d4. I play rook takes g3. Yeah, so this was just a crazy situation. So you managed to snag the g7 pawn. I was hoping that maybe I can go here, take g3, and then try and win some of these. But I have a lot of pawns hanging myself. Because after knight to d4, like, this is hanging, this is hanging, this is hanging. So, like, a lot of things can be lost. So, Takes was the best for me, and it would have been equal. I play rook takes g3, which is a little bit worse equal. King to f2. I go back rook g7, which is a huge blunder. I need to go takes d4 and allow king takes g3. Oh my goodness. Could I have at least gone here? Maybe. Allow rook takes h7 and just bishop d5. I guess this is playable. It's just a rook itself. Can't do too much damage, and the bishop is still a little out of the game if I can maintain this. So that was an option. You're an endgame expert. Well, you certainly back that up this game. So knight takes f5. You've swung this from -2 to +2. So knight takes f5. This is looking pretty bad for me now. Rook g5. I blundered this fork. I didn't even see it. So I'm down here on the clock. You know, let me make this even bigger. You know what? Let me do here. Let me just go boom, boom, and now you guys can just see the times. There you go. I'm gradually showing you guys more about this. So, what were the times in this position? So as soon as we traded, I had 24, but then I spent over half my clock, 24 to 10, on here, and so we're down a lot. Very poor time management on my part. And Yang Yan correctly spends his time to find all the right stuff, and so we're playing just off increment here. 3+2 game. Takes my bishop. Check, take here, and this is looking very good for him. Because at this exact moment, the pawns are equal, but it's about to not stay that way. Because takes, rook e7, and for a second I think, okay, maybe I can take on e3. The very best option, rook takes h7 was good, but now, so I'm down 2 pawns, and so this should definitely still be winning. But the reason why I have practical chances to draw is because of opposite color bishops, right? And because they're not together. What I could do, like, for example, let's say there was only 1 pawn, I could just stick my king on e5. Let's say there's only 1 pawn. And nobody could ever make my king move for the rest of the game. So it's pretty easy to hold, like, let's say they were here and here. I could stick my king on f4, and then maybe you'll never make it to a dark square the rest of the game. Something like that. But probably shouldn't get to that situation, especially because this pawn can be attacked. It's on a light square. So let's see what happened here. Bishop c5, bishop g8, got attacked, b5. Here comes the king. g4. Yeah, I think better was just advancing the king as much as possible. So like here or king f4. Trying to claim as much space as possible because I need to set up some sort of dark square blockade, and I'm not close to doing that. So the more you advance with your king here, the farther I am. Like I'm not doing it on g5. What am I going to do it on g7? I need to get all the way over here, and it seems pretty hard. Like king e7, for example. Let's just say like e4, king f6. Yeah, like e5 check. Now I need to like pick a side, kind of. So kind of a tough situation, and also the king can just come this way and start eating these pawns. So I think that was probably best. g4 now allows me to get this nice spot in the center, which feels good, and helps my chances of saving this game. And now with bishop to e7, I feel like I've blocked this pawn, and with the bishop here, I've blocked this one as well. So Yang Yan comes up with a new way to annoy me with b3. And I felt like if I ignored that, then take, and then I would lose that. That pawn is on a light square, and then the bishop can now come around and attack it. So I can, yes, I can hold this bishop on g5 and the king on e5, 2 dark square blockades, but I might just lose my pawns over here. So in the game, I play bishop to a3, takes, and the reason I play bishop a3 is to get him with bishop b2. So here comes this pawn. Maybe king e2 and king d2 might have been a better idea to maybe hold c3, hold the c3 pawn, and then the bishop can come around, maybe come to g8, attack me here, right? So then like my king would have to go there, and then this pawn can start rolling. Something like that. But we get into this race, and somehow it works out for me. So here, the g-pawn keeps coming. King f6 was a big mistake. What could I... King e6? That doesn't even make sense. King f6 was somehow a mistake. Believe it or not, I needed to go here. I don't quite follow. Let's see why. So king e4, and I realize here I can't go takes. I can't go takes, because this is a great check defending c3. And now we're kind of just in the same situation as before, where I have to deal with these 2 pawns. I didn't want that. I wanted to get rid of this pawn. So here comes king d5, which attacks this pawn, and I can't save it, and opens this defense. But I have this nice counterpunch, bishop to d2. Yeah, I'm convinced maybe the engine doesn't know what it's talking about. You really appreciate everything about my chess mastery. Excellent commentary, wonderful gambits. Aw, that's so nice. Yes, let me get to a lot of these comments in a moment. But I really appreciate that you appreciate that. Bishop to d2. Okay, so we're in a spot here where if takes, I can just take e3, and then I can just sit this on a dark square, defend that, sit my king on a dark square, done. Done. There's nothing you can do to touch me, right? And in fact, something similar happened in the game. So he has to keep this on the board. He has to allow as few pawn trades as possible. But the issue with e4 is that I'm able to get this. It blocks the bishop. So apparently king d4 does white's best to keep this all on the board. So that king d4 really limits the pawn trades. And now it's saying a4. I don't know what a4 does. What's the next idea? Oh, a4 might put me in a bit of zugzwang. It's like king g7. It's saying king c5. Giving this pawn. I'm not sure it knows what it's talking about. Is it possible I'm losing this pawn? Is it possible I have no defense? Because this pawn's in the way of defending it here. This is a crazy situation. Am I losing this pawn? Guys, I think I'm just losing that a pawn, in which case I would lose the game. That's wow, an unbelievable pattern. Okay, he needs to not take the c pawn. Here's how to win. Don't take the c pawn. Make me push it to c3. Play a4. That way when you run with your king, you're going to win this pawn because this pawn is going to block my defense. We're in a situation where, like, now I move this anywhere. King b7 happens. And now king a6 happens. You're going to take this. Bishop does a great job. Defends this pawn. Stops this altogether. And then they take here. This pawn's going to go. I'm going to have to sacrifice on a7. This is going to stay in the game. I can't do anything. Once I sacrifice on a7, the king is going to come here, clean up c3, and then come all the way back to this part of the board to win. Wow. King c6, I lose this, and it's a table-based win. Unbelievable. So, wow. Nice one. Okay, but that didn't happen. I mean, the much more human thing happened, and also we were low on time. So e4, I was able to take this, and then by virtue of trading one pawn, I was able to just, yes, sit the king on a big fat dark square. Nobody's ever going to make me move for the rest of the game. That's what opposite color bishops can do. Sit the pawn on a big fat dark square, and the bishop can just defend that for the rest of the game. Nobody can do anything about that. So, wow. Fun game overall against Yan Yan, and which started with crazy gambits and ended with some very technical endgame stuff, where I barely held on. But a great game, a wild back and forth one. Both our accuracies were 89, I see here, and you can just see the path of this one, and eventually it fizzled out to a draw. GG's there. Long live the Yan Yan Gambit. Okay, let me read some comments. Enormous thanks. Could I have a series on Gambit's pawn structure, formations versus standards? Tell me what you mean a little bit, and I can try to help address that. Yeah, GG, man. That was a great game. Like Gambits in the Sicilian and King's Indian. Yeah, I mean, I can touch on a little bit. You said King's Indian, and one thematic one comes to mind, which is, I guess, what you're talking about a little bit. But it would be something like this, right? Where, so we have some sort of King's Indian structure, and a very common one in the King's Indian is if black can sacrifice this and this for this. That's kind of the trade they're looking for very often, in terms of, like, thematic gambit ideas that are very relevant to this pawn structure, because here white's already messed up, even though, like, this is the setup they want to do. White's already messed up because black can go e5, and after d5, knight d4, which is a great spot for the knight if it can stay there, and c5 can really solidify it there. And if you take it, now you're in a situation where this bishop has unleashed its full power without that pawn. There's lots of light square pawns and no dark square bishop, so really lack of control of the dark squares for white. And already there's knight takes e4 here, which is a really nice move, because it hits the queen. You need to play queen takes e4, and then rook e8 wins the queen. And even in a situation where we didn't have knight takes e4, like let's say I played rook e8, and then you castled, and now here I play like something like knight d7. This is, or not even castle, like let's say bishop e2. So now I don't know. Let's say there was no knight takes e4, right? And then knight d7 and like a5 and knight c5. This is still considered to be like really nice for black because this bishop is just such a monster. It's uncontested. There's no dark square bishop to oppose it. Knight will stay on c5. Again, dark square. Pawn b4, not possible. Dark square, like you just control all that. And then you'll hit him with f5. And then you'll play bishop takes f5. And then you'll start to get things rolling. But an uncontested bishop, the knight and pawn making that trade with knight d4 is very important. So in theory, in the sandwich here, it's very important for white to go knight e2. And then so that if e5 and knight d4, it's really just losing a pawn because white keeps this very important bishop on the board. So that's why black can try to do a couple things like this little idea on the side of the board to annoy white, because another idea white wants to play is like knight c1, knight b3 to free this bishop, but they can't go knight c1 as long as you can hit him with knight d4, right? So we don't do this yet, right? We don't do this yet. We keep that idea on the table. Kind of some interesting King's Indian stuff that's very off topic, but I hope that answered your question. All right, side right, have a good one. Thank you for joining. Yan Yan counter cannot counter the Yan Yan himself. Yeah, really, really interesting stuff there. All right, you guys. All right. I might... If one more person wants to send me a challenge on Lichess, I will accept. I'll accept one more challenge on Lichess. No? I'll play... I just want to play one more game. I want to play one more game, and then it's almost 2 a.m. and I have to go to the office tomorrow for my real job. Thoughts on early rook lifts? I mean, I can't say that they're good or bad. You mean like so early that like you're playing like h4, rook h3, but while your king's still in the middle? In general, probably not. All right, Desert Lightning, I have yet to accept your challenge. Sorry, Mr. Yan Yan, but I will accept here. So good luck. Make sure to mute the stream. And let's have a 3+2. But yeah, in general, I think castle, get your pieces out. Am I going to face a Vienna? And rook lifts can be one way to activate. I think I am facing a Vienna. I know this is an interesting line, like takes, check, takes here. Oh, I see I have played one game against him. I'm 1-0 against Mr. Desert Lightning. This is how I tend to try to play against these sorts of things. I just try to keep this diagonal to cut the castle. And, what was I saying? I just try to keep that diagonal to cut the castle. And just try to play, like, just bishop c5, d6 to support this pawn on e5. I think knight takes e5. I would be happy to do that gambit. I would kind of be happy to do that gambit. Otherwise, I'm supporting here. My other idea is I want to go bishop g4, I want a castle, and I want to play knight d4. But yeah, I like just bishop c5, d6. I think in general it's a good way to counter. It's a good way to counter Schliemann's, you know, what do you call it against the Italian where it's like e4, e5. Oh, I didn't expect this. But you know what? I had these ready just in case. So, queen d4. There's just knight d3. I think they're okay. So I think what I'd like to do is simply castle. Simply castle and just enjoy the fact that I have this great bishop causing lots of problems. Pawn takes c6 is very possible. In fact, poses some serious questions. I think what I'm going to do, though, is knight takes c6. Although, it's a pretty interesting choice. Pawn takes c6, of course, is with tempo. It's all about what comes next. So here, bishop c4, queen d4, queen e2, bishop g4. I think the bishop on c4... Okay, I'm going to go knight takes. Because I think knight d4 could be strong. Okay, so they take it anyway. And now the question is, I have sacrificed a pawn just for this. Just for this. I played d6 to fortify that. Now white, if they get a few moves, are just going to castle and I would just be down a pawn for absolutely nothing. So I need to not let that happen, and this is my time. This is my time to shine right here. I need to not let that happen. This is a critical moment. So my strikes, I have rook b8, I have f5, I have like here, I have like here, and we want to choose the right one. So I have check and queen h3, which is compelling. I guess there is queen to f3. I think most principle is just play f5, and that's why I didn't play pawn takes c6, is because I didn't want the bishop just coming to c4 and and just pinning me here. So f5 makes the most sense because it's just bringing the most guys to the party. I want this rook in the game and helping me to cause issues. Open lines, exactly. So you were asking about rook lifts, right? This is better than rook lifts. Just making those pawn trades so I don't have to spend the time coming around, right? So like my options for the f-file was to bring my rook here or just make that pawn trade. So here's knight a4, which is an interesting idea, but my instinct is I can punish this. So knight to a4, they really just wants me to move so that they can go here. But I would have queen d4 check anyway in that position. So, okay, but I have takes, and... Interesting, okay. It's not obvious what to do. My instinct was this was wrong, but I'm having trouble proving it, and we're running low on the clock. Alright, we're just going to back it up. I think here, my idea is castles, and I'm going to go queen h4. If h3 is going to go queen g3. Okay, we're going to allow this. And I was going to go bishop takes g3, takes, and then speaking of rook lifts, I was going to rook lift. Speaking of rook lift, so I've at minimum a draw here. I've at minimum a draw, check, check, check. But speaking of rook lifts, I was going to rook lift. Alright, we gotta go for it. I mean, I can't just let the clock run out there. Or I mean, I can't just accept the draw there. I'm not sure this was so correct. Oh, I think I got him. I think I got him with queen h4. Wow. What a game. What a game. We finally ran him out of squares. Interesting game. Interesting game. GG. Let's have a look at this. This was a wild one. This was a wild one. So it was a Vienna. It was a Vienna. Yeah, GG, Mr. Desert Lightning. So I respect that. Desert Lightning, and you've got an Arizona Cardinals profile picture. Really repping the desert in Phoenix. I was there for the Final Four, actually, relatively recently, and it was desert-esque. It was desert-like, but it was actually a really nice city. So knight c6. It was in the Arizona Cardinals Stadium, actually. So knight c6, bishop to b5. So here's what we got. Here's how I like to deal with hits like this. So I was talking also about like the Schliemann, and I'm forgetting I can't believe I'm forgetting the name of this. But a really easy way to deal with this is just like d3 against any sorts of like f5 hits. Put the bishop on c4. Don't take it. Don't take it. That's exactly what they want, is to now just take the whole center and everything. But now to play d3, fortifying this, just keeping your center, and now just having this diagonal that's going to cut them from castling and potentially punish them for being in the center by having access to the f7 square. So that's exactly what I tried to do here. Bishop c5 and just d6. Hold the center, get them on this diagonal. So here's knight f3, knight c6, and bishop to b5. And what I wanted to do is to play this move knight to e7, and the engine approved. So So this is slightly in my favor. Oh, I realized I never put the settings back, and so you guys never saw the clocks, but my clock was running really low. See, and actually you'll see that now on analysis. So I played knight to e7, and my idea was if something like d3, I was going to go like bishop to g4, I was going to castle, I was going to have one of these knights here, and I was going to try and play knight d4, and white is far from castling. I was going to maybe play a6 if I needed to, so that knight a4, I would be able to keep this nasty diagonal, and I would try to play knight d4, cause problems for, you know, the fact that you've moved this f-pawn, and I can keep you in the center by controlling this square. In the game, pawn takes, and he challenged me with knight takes e5, going for this pawn. So castles, knight takes c6, knight takes c6, takes c6, takes c6, right? This knight was pretty dangerous, and so it was a good idea to trade. It was maybe going to jump into d4. And now we're in a situation where I've sacrificed a pawn for what? Well, I'm castled and you're not, and you won't be for the foreseeable future. This is very Bush-Gas-esque, actually, that I have this bishop here that's uncontested. You're not able to play d4 because of this opening here. So it really reminded me of that, and so I think, you know, having those ideas helped me out here. But so far, white hasn't really done anything wrong. They really just challenged me on my pawn sacrifice by taking on e5. And in general, this should probably be a pretty good pawn sacrifice. So d3, and as I was saying during the game, if I do nothing, if I'm just like la, di da, di da, di da, here, white's just up a clean pawn for absolutely nothing. And it's a center pawn, right? So I can't let that happen. I do have them cut from short castling at the moment. So d3, very logical move. And f5 shrinks it from -0.8 to -0.3. I was thinking about queen to h4 check, which is the top recommendation, but I wasn't sure that this was going to break through. There was like queen to f3, which could defend against queen g2. Queen to f1 could propose a queen trade. But the bishop here makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. Both the bishops are going to cut off one of the directions from castling. So that's pretty nasty. And in a situation like this, maybe now I could play f5, bring the rooks in, as the king now stays in the center as long as I need it to. So maybe that was a better idea for that reason. But f5 makes a lot of sense. I mean, king's in the center, and I'm going to open it up right there. And instead of just waiting around for me to get to it with bishop to d2 and probably never escaping in time, knight to a4 was a very interesting idea, trying to make this bishop move so that you can castle. However, the issue is with knight to a4 is that you're not even quite threatening to castle because there's this queen d4 check. So you're not even quite threatening to get out of the middle, and pawn takes e4 could pose serious problems. Could have done rook f2 and run. Okay, yeah, I'm excited to get to that part. So knight to a4 was played. Yes, the best option was queen to e2 to try to defend, and it's saying takes, check. This is just the engine line. Knight g5. I don't even know what's happening. Like, not takes. I guess bishop g4 and rook to e8 is coming. So just or queen g2. So just some crazy stuff with your opponent's king in the center. It's much better that their king's in the center and mine is safe and sound. But yeah, f5 pawn trade where their king is and opening up the rooks. Principled way to play, and honestly, I just should have played it faster. Knight to a4, bishop to d6. So here was my evil plan. Castles, because bishop d6 otherwise makes no sense, because you cut off queen d4 check, which is what stopped them from castling. But I have this nice follow-up with just queen h4, and none of the white pieces are well equipped to stop this idea, right? Like, imagine there was a knight on f3, that would obviously change everything, and I'd just be down a pawn. h3, I was going to zigzag in here. And so there's no e5, there's no bishop f4, can't do any of that stuff. I have pieces ready to get them. So here comes g3 and the sacrifice, of course. Takes. So it's -3.2, but I might have done this completely wrong. Actually, I didn't. I did it right. So check. I played to gain a couple, like a moment on the clock, and now rook to f6. So with rook to f6, I have the checkmating pattern that I exhibited in the game, and it's -3.1. So you guys were talking about rook f2, but rook f2 takes away the one spot for the king. So I think that loses. I was thinking during the game about queen f3 as a resource, because the easiest resource for me would have been if this bishop weren't controlling h6, just rook f6 and like pre-moving rook h6, right? Like imagine this pawn were just here or something. Just pre-moving rook h6 could knock him out. But I don't have that. The bishop controls the h6 square. So I have to do it this way and check him on g6, which is not as good because it allows the king to run away, rather than here where there's no running away that way. So bishop to f4 was played, which makes a lot of sense to cover g3, but it does allow me for this checkmating pattern, check here, and the king is out of squares, which is pretty nice how the rook and queen were working together. It's funny, I was talking about rook lifts during that game. I had to sacrifice the most important things, but it's important that I don't do just like nothing, and then queen to f3 and then this queen trade can defend everything. Speaking of queen to f3, what was the deal with it in this position? What if I don't check the engine and figure it out myself? So, check king f2, I gotta presume. Am I stupid, or is this just not that obvious? I think, because queen h2, there's king e1. I think queen h4, king e3, I have rook g3. King e2, oh no, don't take here. You get checkmated. A little bit embarrassing. This isn't so obvious to me. I was thinking maybe check and rook g3 could be good. It's wrong. I've already messed up. Ah, it's not rook g6 at all. That's why I didn't see it. It was queen h4. I just assumed rook g6. Queen h4 is the key move. Preparing rook g6, cutting the king's escape there, so the queen can't cover against the rook, right? The queen could only cover against the queen. It can propose a queen trade. This is not the trade white wants. Otherwise, rook g6 is going to get him. Takes doesn't really help matters. It just delays the inevitable. And with rook to f2, then there's takes e4, and the fact that we have other pieces here is helping. Interesting stuff. Wow. So, yeah, queen f3 was certainly the best practical try, but bishop f4 was played, and I had this checkmating pattern. So a pretty nice game there against the Vienna by Mr. Desert Lightning, and I had 94 accuracy there with just a couple inaccuracies, which were here f5 and here bishop d6. Better was the best move here. You guys want to try to guess the best move here? You guys can comment in the chat what you would play maybe if you were white, if you were black here. So they just attacked your bishop. See if anyone gets it. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you should think yourself, what is a creative move here? F takes E is possible. They'll take here. What could set up F takes E? Yeah, it's bishop F2, which is really nasty. So then takes F takes E, king E1. Now we get kind of the same position, except you've played this, except it's your move, right? Except it's your move. So like takes, knight takes C5 would have been played otherwise. And now with queen D4, you're attacking this knight and threatening queen to F2. So wow, just a filthy sequence there. Bishop F2 check, just putting it. I feel like bishop F2 is the type of move you would play if there were a pawn there. But playing bishop F2 when there's nothing there is that's just incredible. Yeah, now here takes, oh, that's such a nice one. And this would be checkmate. So, yeah, but anyway, really, really fun game. Probably knight takes E5 is not advisable from a practical point of view. The best, probably the best option was knight A4, hitting the bishop. As I said, I did not create that square yet, and now this very dangerous bishop is now going to have to reroute off of that diagonal, and white can castle, and we're probably just looking at equality. But yeah, in terms of that bishop, it is powerful. Like I use these ideas in a lot of lines, right? So in the Pickler Gambit here, right, F takes E5, falls victim to check, check, and winning the rook. So it takes bishop C5. This bishop is nasty against the King's Gambit. And I talked about this in my deferred Schliemann video as well. But yeah, I mean, if you can just get a bishop there and they've moved their f-pawn, you can keep them in the center, and it might just be really good. So a great game by Desert Lightning. Thank you very much for that. All right, everyone. I think I have to sign off. I was about to say I'll find someone to raid, but not on Twitch. It's getting a little late. Sorry, Sweetie Kiss. I saw the challenge. I saw a couple other challenges. I appreciate it, but next time for sure. I'll probably stream tomorrow. Why not? So yeah, I mean, this was a great stream. This was a really great stream. I love streaming on YouTube. I love having no technical issues. I mean, imagine that. So everything here, you can find all my gambits there. Join the Discord. Like I said, really, really awesome community where everyone's sharing their games and everything. And please subscribe to me on YouTube, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back on YouTube live. This is great. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
William Graves, the Gambit man, takes his seat at the board. E4. E5. Knight F3. Bishop C5. The Bushcast Gambit on the board. On with the Gambit classes. Hero pod unlocked.